Hello, I'm Askar Sharlief and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. Yesterday, the president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, delivered his annual national address during the joint session of the parliament chambers. The main topic of the speech concerned the industrial and innovational development of the country until 2020. The next report has more.
Yesterday's annual president's address sounded like an action plan for an entire decade. Nazarbayev opened his speech to the nation with economical issues. The assets of the national fund must be doubled up to $90 billion until 2020, which constitutes 30% of the GDP. These calculations were followed with a decree to make the treasury untouchable.
There should be lending from the national funds, nor extra transfers will be done to the budget.
In the next decade, the president plans to decrease unemployment level and mortality rate. Everything else will grow: labor, productivity, life expectancy and business environment. Moreover, Nazarbayev has drawn a line in the dispute on the terms of social payments increase.
I think that the positive dynamics of economy development during the last years allows us to raise stipends and salaries of state servants by 25%, 3 months earlier than planned, beginning April 1st of 2010.
The president did not say anything about political reforms so eagerly awaited by the opposition. The traditional assurance in tolerance consolidation and stability preservation were accompanied by subtle threats.
Citizens should not make any actions inside the country and abroad that might affect the internal political stability and prosperity of Kazakhstan. We will decide who loves the country and who doesn't, judging by these actions.
Nazarbayev demanded the security officials to stop their interdepartmental wars and work on the problems of citizens instead. The head of state finished his hour-long address with a patriotic appeal. Interestingly, though, this was the first time the annual address did not start with the national anthem and was not accompanied by standing applause.
Leaders of opposition parties Akjol and Azad also listened to the president's address and made their own conclusions. One of them, the head of state, wants to rule the country even after his term expires in 2012. Alikhan Baymenov said Nazarbayev will run for presidency during the next elections, while Jarmakhan Tuyakbay predicted that there will be no presidential elections in 2012 altogether.
Kazakhstan's motto as the OSCE chair is the 4 T's: trust, tradition, transparency and tolerance. While sounding good, the motto has yet to result in the concrete program. The Kazakh opposition expected such from the yesterday's address of President Nazarbayev. Another interesting thing the head of state said during his speech is that it is prohibited to mar the image of the country abroad.
If we ask the OSCE members to follow our 4 principles, then we also have to do something to create trust, transparency and show how we're planning to achieve tolerance.
Oppositionist Jarmakhan Tuyakbay doubts the effectiveness of the state control over the spending of budget assets provided within the framework of development strategy for the next decade.
The most important here is the level of control. We need to know how effectively the state resources will be used and not embezzled through corruption. If this will happen, there will be no reason to wait for any real results.
The leader of political party Adilet, Maksud Narikbayev, who calls himself a constructive opposition member, is satisfied with the proposed measures.
It happened that on Tuesday, Adilet party has presented its political platform where we aim at reforming the law enforcement system. And the president also mentioned this in his address. Our positions have coincided.
The communist and activist of the non-registered political party Alga, Serik Bolsin Abdildin and Vladimir Kozlov, who have united into a single bloc, Narodovlastia, ignored the invitation to the president's speech, expressing their attitude towards the annual address.
The president of Kazakhstan took part in the work of the political council of his Nuratan party. Nazarbayev asked party members not to be zealous with explaining his message to the region's population. He proceeded to harshly criticize the activities of some party members and then immediately gave them a new privilege to control budget assets. Find out more from the next report.
The Democratic Party Nuratan began its meeting praising the president. The cabinet had decided not to discuss the annual address in detail. Karim Masimov simply said that the decade-long development program of Kazakhstan is a start to the future. The Prime Minister's speech threw the floor into an ironical confusion. This is our super task, and I know that only the President of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, can do it.
So, what will you do then?
Upon the president's decision, budget money will now be controlled by Nuratan. He complimented party members for their intensive work last year and then immediately criticized for poor follow-up to the project, hotline with the population. 40,000 received questions should have been solved by the local authorities. Why people appealed directly to me? Why did they ask me questions? Because previously he already went through all lower bodies like village council, governor, police and judge. He simply had no other choice but to appeal to me. Then why the hell do you hold these positions, I wonder? Unsurprisingly, officials didn't have an answer to that. In conclusion, the president reminded party members that nobody feels sorry for anyone in the modern world. The world's motto is develop or die. Nobody feels sorry for anyone. Now party members have to study the president's address and make it clear for the population. Nuratan members will begin implementing the mission already in February.
Meanwhile, the Democratic Party Azad has a very different agenda. On the eve of the rally for the protection of Kazakh lands, Democrats made a statement. They are apparently concerned about the possible provocations during the rally.
According to the members of political party Azad, the authorities currently view any expression of popular will related to Kazakh land as an attempt to incite ethnic hatred. The same situation can be observed on the eve of the rally planned for January 30th. The party states that any provocations during the event will be caused by the puppets of intelligence services which enforce the principle of divide and rule. The party was not happy with the recent statement of the General Prosecutor's Office concerning criminal penalty for violating the legislation on peaceful assembly. Our intelligence services and bodies related to them have a lot of experience in provocative activities, and that is why we say beforehand that we intend to hold this rally in accordance with the law.